So when was this covenant with death made? Well, it was first announced, officially announced, on February 24th, 1918, by one of the rulers of God's people. His name was Rutherford. This occurred in a talk that he gave to a district convention in Los Angeles, California. And a few years later, in 1920, it was published in a book called Millions Now Living Will Never Die. The Covenant with Death. And so the rulers of God's people at that time, and even continuing down to today, the rulers of Jehovah's Witnesses, still say that millions now living will never die. And they expect very shortly a situation to occur on the earth, a tribulation and a war, where many people will not survive. And yet they have convinced 6 million Jehovah's Witnesses that they will survive. They will be hidden from denunciation, concealed through this covenant with death. So remember what it said in Isaiah chapter 28? I'll read it again. The overflowing flash flood, in case it should pass through, will not come to us, for we have made a lie our refuge, and in falsehood we have concealed ourselves. And so the leaders of God's people are convinced that they will be hidden, concealed in this lie. And I'd like to bring your attention to a Watchtower magazine, 1983, July 1983 Watchtower magazine. And there's an article in this magazine, and the title of the article is The Live Men of Faith Who Will Never Die. Yes, the leaders of God's people are talking about themselves. I would now like you to look at a subheading of this same article, and it says, Live Companions of Those Hidden from Divine Denunciation. So now they're talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, who, because they are associated with the rulers of God's kingdom, will be hidden from denunciation. And so the rulers of God's people realize that there is an impending judgment which they expect to survive. And let me remind you what it says in Isaiah chapter 28 about these rulers and what they think. Here it is. It says, the overflowing flash flood, the impending judgment, in case it should pass through, will not come to us, for we have made a lie our refuge, and in falsehood we have concealed ourselves. Concealed, hidden from divine denunciation. In this same Watchtower article, July 1983, let me read you what it says at the end of paragraph 19. It says that Armageddon, that global war, will mean total destruction for those faithless nations. This will signify the end of this system of things. And then it continues in the next paragraph. Then only the sheep-like people of faith, those who belong to the one flock of the fine shepherd, will escape death. This includes the great crowd of the other sheep. At Revelation 7, verse 9 to 17, these were forevisioned as coming alive out of the great tribulation and entering into the millennial system of things on earth. Why should these ever need to die off the earth? with death. Let me read to you also the beginning of paragraph 21 of the same Watchtower article, and see if you can find the covenant with death. Here it is, paragraph 21. Unquestionably, so late in this time of the end, since the end of the Gentile times in 1914, there are many live men and women of faith and integrity who will never die off the face of the earth, God's footstool. The covenant with death. And so, I'd like to ask all Jehovah's Witnesses and any Christian person or Jew or Muslim or anyone watching this video, have you ever heard of such a profound covenant with death ever being made at any time during any kind of religious history? And certainly since Jesus Christ's death and resurrection, I hope that if you are a righteous Jehovah's Witness or any kind of person, you will agree with me that there never, ever has been such an extraordinary covenant with death announced throughout the entire world. Millions now living will never die. That is the covenant with death. There is one very interesting thing to consider, however. If you do agree that this really is the covenant with death, then you also have to agree that it's being made by the rulers of God's kingdom, and that therefore identifies Jehovah's Witnesses as God's true kingdom, or that it once was. And I hope you'll also understand that after this transgression, the covenant with death, that there's also many others, like the man of lawlessness, the disgusting thing standing in a holy place, the wild beast, the 10 kings who give away their power to the wild beast, the man's number, how it equals 666. I've written about it in a book called Jehovah's Witnesses, the Bible Report. And in this book, I really only do one thing, and that's actually something described in the scripture in the book of Revelation. What I've done, and I'll read the scripture to you. What this book does is it measures the temple sanctuary of God and the altar and those worshiping in it. What it does is measure the value of worship happening inside of God's kingdom during the Lord's Day, the conclusion of this system of things. And so if you really want to know, and you really want to understand that Jehovah's Witnesses are God's kingdom, then you should get this book. You can find a link in my channel, my YouTube channel, and if you click on that link, it'll take you to a place where you can obtain the book. Please tell your friends, your Jehovah's Witness friends, because understanding these things means their life. They will see the disgusting thing, and they will know that it is the proper time to flee, to withdraw from the city of God. Please now go to part 3, Jehovah's Witnesses, the covenant with death, and I'll explain a few more things about these scriptures which prove that millions now living will never die is the covenant with death.